I pulled off these doors and knocked the fenders out because I was waiting on your door looming that goes in here, and I wanted to get that in place so I could build all these doors. So now that all the inner fender's done, the tire's back on, it's back on the ground. I think everything under there's done, just a little detailing once we get painted and stuff. But and all that went together beautifully. I was waiting on the door looms because I'm gonna run wires into your door. Well, I didn't want one that a door loom that looked bad, so I ordered these looms, and I thought they were very period correct. Would look great right there, and you'd never even notice them. But the way the opening is and the space I have to deal with, I can't. It's going to be too hard to make these work. I'm having a hard time getting this thing to slide up in there, and I'm having to make it all. So what it is, I went ahead and ordered another set that are just black. This kind of looks modern, but being black, it'll kind of go away. You won't really be able to see it. Maybe I can do something to tame down the black, the shiny part of it, so that it's just not noticeable. And then I'll put it down here near the door stop to kind of help make it go away, and maybe you won't even really notice it, because I don't want it to look like an aftermarket part in there. I want it to look nice and at home. So now I'm going to put this in there, and then I'm going to build all the doors as far as the vent windows and all that. These vent windows are always a pain in the butt. Yours have been completely taken apart. I've got parts from other cars and the original car and aftermarket parts, and I got to put all that stuff together and tweak it and bend it and make it fit to get your window to go up and down. And that's all got to work smoothly, and it's just a lot to do right there. And I've learned over the years to do that before it's painted. Do a complete mock-up with everything in it, check it all. I can make any adjustments easy at that point, and then take it out, store it, and then when it's time to paint, it'll go right in. I've already got a lot of the stuff to do with the door done. While I had the door, when I was doing the build a long time ago, I rebuilt everything about the hinges, and I've got all that where it works perfectly. I've got all the door latch and stuff where all this is reworked and it's working perfectly. The solenoid's working perfectly. So now all I got to do is focus on the glass and the tracks. So I'm fixing to fly into that and get all that put in place. See what I have to work with here now. So like this piece, this is an original frame out of the car, and had it zinc coated, but it's kind of bent up. The vent window, we had that polished up. Stainless steel looks nice. I've got to get the glass in it. The pivot points, part of them's aftermarket. All this has got to be riveted and back in place. These are aftermarket. I hope they fit. All this stuff's got to work. The glass channel run here, this is the original. This is some aftermarket that we bought. They're a little bit different the way they mount. I don't know which one of those two I'm going to use. And then this is off another car. You bought two of these regulators. The original ones are completely wore out on the car. These are in really good shape, but they didn't come with this car, so I'm hoping they'll fit. They should fit nicely. But every bit of this has to be put together and put in there and work perfectly. So, all right, here's a closer look at what all we got here. Off another car, off of this car, off of this car. Aftermarket, not sure which one of them's two I'm going to use or how I'm going to modify it. This is some aftermarket. That's original. You can see the condition of all this stuff. Some of it's missing, some of it I'm going to have to come up with a way, make it, do something to make it work. And then those channel runs, and then here's some of the stuff I've got over here for the driver's side. I'm starting to gather it all up, but a little bit of work here to get all this together. But once I get it all together, I'll just put it back and store it, and it'll be ready to go in after paint. I'll show you the first problem I ran into is the pivot points here are not rebuildable on the Woodie. So we had ordered this kit to replace it. I forgot about this. So this has got to be, both these have to be polished first. Then drill all this out and then mount this new pivot point in here, and then I'll be able to put all the hardware on there. And that'll make it nice and tight. But I just wasn't expecting to have to take that off. It looks so nice, but and then I had to polish that one. But anyway, let me get these drilled out, get these riveted in place, but let me polish it first. It's much better. This is what it looked like when I started, and then that's what it looks like after it's polished. So now that that goes in there, I'll drill that one out, and this one sits down in there. It'll already be polished up. All right, Bruce, I was going to show you right quick. Your window kit came with these channel runs, and they're aftermarket, and then the top of it's got a little stainless shield with the rubber on it. Well, I'm going to try to use the original one because this is the one that came with the car, and it fits the door perfectly. and really like to put it back in there, and it's all the way down polished, just a little better piece. But also I just kind of want to show you what I've done so far. So this main frame we sent out and we had that re-zinc coated. I redid this pivot down here. I have polished and installed this upgrade for your door, for your vent window latch. We sent this out and had this polished. Then I've re-riveted it all back in place, and I've got the rubber in place. I've been fitting the glass a little bit as I go along, and so far so good on how that's fitting in there. And I kind of adjust accordingly, because ultimately I've got to have the back edge of this glass where it comes down and strikes right in that window seal right there. And that's about the most important part of setting the depth of this glass. If it's anything anywhere else, you can seal and repair, but the edge of that, there's nothing you can do. So, and that's fitting good. So I just want to give you a quick update on where it's at. And I've got this mocked up now because I've got to find and locate that seal that goes in there. And then I'll take it back apart, and then rivet this back in there, and then rivet it all back together. And then that portion will be done, and it's in really, really good shape. Got one done, and I've had to come up with rivets and screws and everything involved with this thing to get this back together. I've had to make some stuff. Took two parts and took one apart and got the track out of it and got it put in here. I mean, it was just a lot to get this one, but it is very, very nice now. Very nice. So now I'll fit it in there, fit the other window in, see how the vent window fits, and then I'll be able to knock out the other side a lot quicker, because I already got all the screws and stuff that I need to do the other side now. After all these years this being apart and all that being destroyed, I have got all this working now and working pretty good. The window here I haven't got set in the setting tape yet, because I'm going to go ahead and do your vent window. I just want to show you what's involved in setting all this up. To get the depth of this window right here, and so that the window close and seal up as best as possible. Now, these vent windows are bad about sealing anyway, but I go ahead and set it all in there, get it exactly square all the way around. I've done a little adjusting, tweaking, so when it strikes good all the way around. Then when I slide this glass in, now that I have it all together with the seals in there, I've marked this where I need the edge of that glass to come out at. Now, if you look at hot rods that people's built and stuff, you'll see these vent windows are always a mess. If the glass is too deep, it won't seal. If it's too far out, it hits this, and it never works. So I go ahead and shoot for trying to do it as best I can the first time. That way, when it's done, it's going to work for a long time. Now, you can't guarantee these things will be airtight, but I can do everything in my power and every job that I do in this to prevent that, and then most time it comes out airtight. So I'm just take that glass with the setting tape and go ahead and set this one and get it exactly where it needs to be, and then I'll set this one, and then this one will be ready to will be done. I'll be ready to go over and do the other side. The other side will go a lot quicker, because now I've gathered up all the parts. While I was doing this one, the special screws and nuts and brackets, and I went ahead and made some pieces that I had to make in this one, but I made two. So I'll be able to go through it pretty quick. But I'm tickled to death to get this in and working as well as it does. I take a minute and I tape this the edge on there all the way around, the setting tape, and I really work that down flat, put a little bit of soap on it all the way around, and then I can set that exactly where it needs to be in relationship to this this seal right here, and then that'll make it its best chance of sealing there ever could be. So I'm going to show you how I want to do these vent windows. Now I've got it in there in the setting tape and I've let it set for a little while. I really want it to lock in how I've got it adjusted right here. So I've masked this off, and I've got just the smallest little 1/8 inch of a bead in between those two pieces of masking tape. And I'm going to put a little glass sealant all the way around that, let that set up, then pull that tape off, and there'll be a perfect little bead right in there all the way around. And I'll do the other side the same way, and it'll help hold that glass right where it needs to be. The driver's side's coming along a lot faster, and after doing that passenger side, I've already come up with the rivets. I've had to make some of the rivets and find special screws that will seat down far enough in that felt so the head doesn't show, and just quite a bit of modifying on it. But I've got this one like working really, really good. And then I'm kind of changing it up a little bit. The kits that you bought came with this aftermarket setup, and that's the piece you see. And I'm going to use the original piece because it's located so nicely in the door. So I drilled this out of the aftermarket one, and then I'm just going to install it in there. I already did that to the passenger side. And then here's the glass that is broken. This was in bubble wrap, sealed up in a stack, and apparently it's been hit pretty hard right there and just shattered this one. So hopefully we can get another one just like it. And but I'm using this one to test fit, and it fits beautifully in there. So if they just send us another one, this will be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and build all this. I've already got the regulator in and a lot of that stuff done. So the driver's side is rolling along really fast. Now let this set all night, and put that window sealant all the way around, just right in that edge just perfectly by using that tape, and then taking a squeegee and spreading it in there. I'm going to do the same to the inside, but now that this one is secured, it's a perfect fit right up and down through there. So now I'll open it up. I wanted it to stay closed so that it would set in that spot. Now I'll open it up, and I'm going to mask and do the same on this side. And then that's going to hold that glass right where it needs to be. And also, when they cut these glass, they have to cut an arc in it here to clear the rivets here, and they have to cut one up here to clear these rivets. And it gets real close where the glass is, and you get air in between there because it's kind of a hard cut on glass. So I work that sealant down in those spots as well. So this glass is sealed off real well. And if anything ever does happen and break it, you can just come in there and just cut that edge just real lightly and then pull it right out, put a new one in. So I want to show you something I get into every now and then. On this vent window, I was fixing to get it sealed on the inside and then pull it out, and it'll be done, ready after paint. But as I've used this thing, it's got a spring and two washers here that help it hold it open when it's open. Well, they're from 1950, so the upper cog in there is a little bad on the top one, and it's just making it just don't feel good, not near as good as the driver's side. So and then when it gets to a point, it kind of gets soft, and I don't want it to stay like that. I'm gonna have to go ahead and fix that. So I'm gonna take this all back down and actually either remake one of these or do whatever I got to do, but somehow I've got to get that fixed, or that's going to be like that forever. So that means I pull all this back out, take all the bolts and stuff loose that I got to get this out. Yeah, it's going to be a pain, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. Working along with getting this window back out, I want to go ahead and take advantage of it while it's still in there before I rebuild that pivot. And I want to go ahead and fit this trim and the window felts in there. So I got it all in place and got it where I need it, and I got to noticing this piece of trim as I install this felt is bent down right there quite a bit. So it's going to make my felt and all this, it's kind of hard to see now, but when it's all said and finished, I think you'd really see that. So it's just kind of a little can of worms that's opened up here. So I'm going to have to go in here on that lip there, and I'm going to stretch that lip in my stretcher, raise this up till it matches, then get back to putting these on so that I can get back to pulling that vent window back out. But I'd like to do every bit of this door while I'm here. That way when I walk away from it and go to the other door, this is completely done. I'm having to take this passenger side all the way back down. What has happened is these little locks that help put resistance on your window when you open your side window. I guess the passenger side was pretty worn. The driver's side for some reason was better, way better than the passenger side. And when it all tightens up, it pushes the, let's see, I think it's this one is the upper one that I had in there. The little cogs in there are quite worn, and where it rides in here is quite worn. So I took some of your heat shield tape and taped off the cogs right there where this is going to set, and then I had to go in there and weld a little landing in there where over the years this one has actually spun and more a little groove in it. It didn't show up till I got it all tight down and in there, and then when I in there, this one slipped a tooth, and then it made the window ornery. So I went out to the car and pulled one of the lower pieces off, and the little cogs in there are in really good shape, whichever one is. And now I'm gonna have to go back and grind that, and then I'll put the car one in there for the upper, and then have the lower that was okay on the Woodie, and then put all this back together. But just a pain in the butt to have to go do all that. But if I didn't fix it now, it would be like that forever. So so I'm gonna go in there and grind that off, and then get this other one back in place. Just keep in mind this stuff was made 1950. So I'm doing my best to try to scab this stuff back together and make it work. I've got it now. I've had to mask this up and weld it twice, and put just the most smallest bead right in where that groove was wore out. So, and then this is the new gear from the car, and it fits on there and locks in really strong, and it's got some real good looking teeth in there. So now I can unmask it and put it all back together again, and hopefully I'm done with this vent window. Using both of the washers out of the car, and welded that and rebuilt all that and put it back on there, and this is working just beautifully now. Now I can adjust this to as tight as I want, and that is just a great repair. I'm so glad I did that, but that was a pain in the butt. I had to go take the car apart and get these off of the car, then recondition these, then fix the splines and weld, and quite a bit there, but it had to be done. It just had to be done because you couldn't fight that forever. And now it'll work like a champ. So thank goodness I did that, and I'm glad it's over. Now let's put this thing in.